Hello, I'm Aubrey Shepherd. It's the 10th of September 2012, and let's see some photos from the outdoors in northwest Arkansas. Okay, this is hair streak day. That is probably a gray hair streak. There are a lot of hair streak species, and they're small. It's very hard to distinguish the various markings on them. And that's on the Verbicina virginica, one of the plants that's called frost flower. And when the first frost comes, the base of the stem, winged stem, will have a formation of ice around it. We've shown those in the past and hope to get to do it again this year. Now you see two and now one hair streak. This is actually a different species. You can see some slightly different markings, and they're basically the same color patterns. And I think that's the gray again. You can see the inside of his wings spreading a little bit, and it's just on a leaf. But this is on bone set, and it's another white, tall, native wildflower like the one we showed before. Doesn't have a winged stem, and there's a close-up of that species. Sure, I could have looked it up and tell you, but maybe you'll remember what it looks like and look, or when you go online, I may have the correct name on Flickr set or on a blog or something to distinguish these. But seriously, there's so many. That's on the right is a lot lighter colored because of the sunlight, but the one at left is clearly a different species from every angle I saw it. That's a moth species, also on bone set, which is in bloom everywhere in northwest Arkansas right now. And like some of the other things, it just about dried up before it got to bloom. It was so bad before we got some rain. And this is a passion flower, and back to the bones, this is an onion type flower, but it's got another hair streak on it, and it seems to be the one with a lot of orange banding on it. There it is, upside down. Not a good clear picture, but you can see what the flowers look like fairly well, and you can see how desperate they are to get the nectar from these plants. That is a soldier beetle. And there are several species that use the yellow flowers this time of year. And all of these are, by the way, from World Peace Wetland Prairie. And this is the tall grass species native that's known as river oats, or a few other names. Excellent grass and grow quite readily most everywhere that's reasonably wet. And this is a tiny spider on a basket flower, and I confess to cropping that and maybe adjusting just a little bit to show more detail. I've shown you those before. That one's definitely a crop, but it was shot pretty close. So these insects are feeding on destructive insects. It does not eat the plant. And here's our 7 or nearly 8-year-old sign about World Peace Wetland Prairie, a sanctuary of human beings and other living things in the upper White River Basin. And this is a remnant of northeast Arkansas's wetland prairie ecosystem that was so common wherever it was flat around our city and the other cities of northwest Arkansas. And it's so important because that's the only kind of soil there, the black rich prairie soil, that really absorbs a lot of water and lets it recharge the groundwater. Till next time, this is Aubrey Shepherd asking you to do your part to help keep the water clean, the air pure, and the woods green. See ya. Hello, it's the 13th of September 2012. I'm Aubrey Shepherd from Fayetteville, Arkansas. Let's see some photos of our city and nearby things. Well, Julie McWade retired or resigned. She's getting married, may seek further employment elsewhere, but for the moment she's going to be unemployed temporarily. and there are people from the park department and the street department and all the water and sewer department and code enforcement, and gee, just lots of people were there. I got there late. I didn't get everybody's picture, but I know the room was full because the cake was nearly gone when I got there. And the other goodies, a young friend there who's congratulating Julie. Now we go to a project in South Fayetteville. That's Randy Parrish's garage. He's had that for many years. You see the small space that is actually, he owns out to the stream. So the stream side protection line of 50 feet comes through his property on one edge, and now the trail leader, trail coordinator anyway, is trying to get right away through part of Randy's property, which would further reduce it. So you see, he wouldn't have much to sell if he should give that up to the city. That's showing where Randy's parking lot and what it looks like across the street where the trail would go. And there's a piece of that trail that would come down there over on the riparian zone of the other side, the west side of the Tanglewood branch. And it's been dug up, being replaced before it even got used. Well, there's a red fox, and now you see him way in the distance. He's up there by the railroad, and up above him you see the destruction of the hilltop or student apartments. That's Rocher Heights. Used to be a nursing home up there, a farm years and years ago, of course. And it was never plowed, though. It was grazing land, but it was a great natural area up there. So this fox has been ranging that whole area. We're looking from the trail on Pinnacle Foods wet prairie, and you can see a lot of yellow flowers in bloom. Now, suddenly, there are two foxes there, and these guys may have just been pals, maybe a couple of males or a couple of females, really can't tell from that distance, but they didn't have any young guys hanging out with them, so you'd have to assume it's not a breeding pair, maybe, but not necessarily. We're looking right up the middle there of the part of Pinnacle Prairie, the part that was mowed, a part that was mowed. You can see the difference in flowers where they are. We support Mayor Lionel Jordan, and I second that motion. My name's on that list. It was in the newspaper yesterday. Proudly supporting our very efficient current mayor, Lionel Jordan, Fayetteville, Arkansas. That's Jim and Fran Alexander and grandchild who was interested in learning about fishing on the square last weekend. That's Lev Guter at left and Michelle Hassel at right, and in the background you see some other Omni and Sierra Club members, and there's excuse me. There's Lev talking with the organizer of a gathering there called the Community and Campus Sustainability Mixer down at Arcega's. And you see the team there of Laura and Dan who work for Bicycle Coalition here constantly in Fayetteville and other good things. That's the new Fayetteville Sustainability Coordinator and long-term planner. And Peter is with his young son, and he's got a great carrier for him, and he's a devoted dad, as well as a good environmental guy. That was a registration booth, and there's Don Bennett from the tricycle, or what do you want to call it, farm. A small group in Fayetteville farms quite intensely, and the lady in green, of course, was Sarah Marsh, who will be joining the Fayetteville City Council as Ward 1 representative at the end of the year without even having to campaign, no opposition. So I hope you can meet her soon if you're from Ward 4 particularly. Till next time, this is Aubrey Shepherd asking you to do your part to help keep the water clean, the air pure, and the wood's green. See ya.